Welcome to the Fantasy Football Picks and Bets on the Mayo Media Network. I am your host, Scott Simpson. As always, we are presented by PrizePicks. Sign up for PrizePicks using the link in the description below. Make sure you use code MMN and get your deposit doubled up to $100. We talked about it last week. That's basically free money. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to the Mayo Media Network on YouTube. Again, that promo is MNN. Do it. It is awesome. I love it. You're going to win money. I'm super excited. We're back again for our Tuesday night show, and I'm bringing my friend on The Real Deal Fantasy on Twitter, LQ LaQuan. I know him as one of the thieves. Welcome, sir. How you doing, brother?
We are back, baby. Week 2. We are looking ahead of. It's going to be great. I cannot wait to get another week of football and probably lose some more money and some more leagues.
Hey, I'm telling everybody I won, and that's what we're going to go with. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm transparent. I won some, I lost some. DFS, not so great. PrizePicks, not too bad, though. And so I'm really excited to start us off. We're going to do PrizePicks. We'll get into some start sits, talk about some injuries, and then we'll be out of here and getting you ready for Thursday Night Football. So let's jump right into PrizePicks, brought to you by the MNN as well, the Mayo Media Network. Let's jump in right away. We're talking Daniel Jones. We're talking Taylor Heineke. We're talking rushing overs here. PrizePicks has two totals here, 22.5 for Daniel Jones, 19.5 for Taylor Heineke. What do you think about these numbers? Are they well positioned? Should we smash them, under them? Where are you going on these?
I like the over for both of them. Dan Jones, we saw him last week, move around and out of the pocket, take some opportunities up the middle, rushing the ball. I think 22 is achievable for him. Now, Taylor Heineke, definitely, that's a smash. That's one I'm very comfortable with 19.5. That's something that I think he can smash in the first quarter, possibly.
Yeah. No, you know what? On the local radio station here in Washington, they were comparing him, not favorably, but just saying similar to the Lamar Jackson model where he gets outside and he's more effective outside the pocket and he kind of can move. So 19.5, I think it's a smash. Also, circling back to Daniel Jones, I like that bet too. 22.5, he averages in the 4 games against the Washington football team 30 plus yards, or 30 53, something like that, yards per game. Yeah. So that's 8 yards over. That's that's normally where he fits in there. He's had games where he's run for 74 yards against them, 33 yards. So I do like the over in that. Let's transition to the running backs now, talking about totals here. Saquon Barkley coming off poor performance, only had 10 carries, 26 yards against a stout Denver Broncos team there. And then on the other side, Antonio Gibson, he had 90 plus yards. Both their totals are pretty low. Saquon 52.5, and then Antonio Gibson 68.5. What do you think about these?
Now, Thursday Night Football is always weird for me. I always try to stay away from Thursday Night Football because the craziest things happen. Thursday Night Football, the London games, I usually stay away, but I think Antonio Gibson's 68.5 rushing yards is attractive. It is something that I could smash. Now, Saquon Barkley, I think he's still on the short leash. I think he's going to be eased into, for the first 3 weeks into the offense to not be full sent and face injury once again. So 52.5, I'm taking the under on this one.
No, I like that. Historically, Saquon has done great against Washington. Touchdowns, receptions, the whole 9 yards. But I think you're right. Caution is kind of being used here. You saw them. They had Booker in there, and so I do like.
He didn't look terrible. He didn't look terrible. One-handed catch. He looked great. I definitely like what I saw out of him. So I still think this is like a 3-week thing where we see Saquon rush for under 50 yards. So I can't take this over on him.
No, I'm looking for both defenses to play a little better than they did in their initial matchup, which is kind of bad for offense in some respects. So let's jump back to offense now, of course, obviously. Daniel Jones passing over for his total is 231.5. Similar for Taylor Heineke, 239.5. So within an 8-point range there, or 8-yard range there. What do you think about these? Are you going over, under? Are you doing mix and match? Is it total fade? How's it looking here?
I can't see Daniel Jones lighting it up on Thursday night prime time against a Washington defense with their secondary playing lights out. I definitely think I'm taking the under for Daniel Jones here. Heineke, it's hard to see it, but I'm a believer on Heineke. I think he could throw over 240.
No, I like that. Daniel Jones in his 4 games against Washington, he's 4-0, which is great. That you're winning games, right? That's good, but He's not passed for. He's averaged around 220 yards, 222 yards a game. So in that range, he has to do a little bit better than his projection. And so maybe he can do that. But these Thursday night short turnaround weeks, normally, like you said, they're not normally offensive shootouts or one team smashes the other team. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be kind of the battle of the toilets right now, which is, the NFC East, like it should be, so I like that. I like the Heineke rushing over more than the passing, just because I do think he'll rush easily over that if you're looking for a smash. The other one is a good bet, but I think the first one is a great bet. Let's jump to receiving yards, right? These quarterbacks are going to throw the ball around, even though the totals are up high for the quarterbacks. If you actually divide it by the number of yards that are being parsed out to the receivers and the backs and the tight ends, you have a value there, I think, in all of these receiving options. So was there any that stood out to you, either on Washington side or on the Giants side, that you kind of were like, this is the best bet of the receiving options?
It's hard to say Slayton. I definitely want to see him hit that 35.5. I think it's achievable, but I'm going to stay away from Slayton. Now, Dami Brown, 27.5 yards, also another one that's attractive, but I'm probably going to stay away. So I'm smashing on Terry McLaurin. I definitely think the 65 yards is 100% smash. He's the number one target on that offense, and we saw him get his first target as soon as Taylor Heineke took over at quarterback. So I definitely think he's going to favor him. He's a security blanket. 65 yards is a smash.
No, I think you're right on track there. In the 3 games that McLaurin has played against the Giants in his career, he's had 9 targets, 12 targets, 8 targets, 7 receptions in each game. The lowest amount of yardage that he received was 74, only 74 yards. That was the least. So that's a smash over 62. So I definitely think he continues that trend. By the way, last game he played in November, he got 115 yards and a touchdown. Really did a great job. And that was, I believe that was in Washington. So another game in Washington. So I like that a lot. I'm also looking at that Logan Thomas, 46 and a half. I like that.
How did I miss that one? Yes.
You know what? That's my low hanging fruit. And the reason being, he had 3 for 30, which was good. It was fine. He had 12 points, did pretty well, but I think he has more in him, particularly with Heineke. I think Heineke, you saw him deliver the football to him. It was not our boy Fitzmagic. He was out. Heineke got him that touchdown. He trusted him one-on-one. I love the adjustment that Logan Thomas made on that catch. If you didn't see it, it was him one-on-one in the corner of the end zone. The ball was kind of back shoulder. He stopped, adjusted, went up and got it. Great athletic play. Got him in position to get away from the DB and put himself in between the DB and the ball, which, I mean, that's every coach wants that. So I love Logan Thomas in this game. I also like him later in the reception totals, which we'll talk about in a second as well. But 46 for me. On the other side, Kenny Golladay, 49.5. That's kind of cheap. And so
it's cheap.
I know it is. He didn't get all the targets. Sterling Shepard obviously getting the most targets there. But Kenny Golladay, it takes 2 or 3 for him to get to that total, so I could see Kenny Golladay, 4 catches for 70, something like that, 4 catches for 65. So I like the Kenny Golladay. It's a cheap Kenny Golladay, honestly. And he played last week. He wasn't a no show. So he was on the score sheet. We checked for sure.
Yeah, he was out there.
yeah. So, all right, cool. Let me jump down now. We're going to talk. And this is where the receptions come in. So maybe we can kind of marry some of those, takes we had a little bit earlier. Terry McLaurin, 5.5. Are you smashing the over on that one like I am?
Smashing. He's going to get at least 9 catches. At least. That's what I'm saying. 9 catches. You could book that. I do like the Kenny Golladay, like you said. He only needs like 2 or 3 to hit the yardage. Maybe he has more than 4 receptions to do so. I definitely like, Terry McLaurin and Kenny G here.
Yeah. No. And for me, I like that Logan Thomas 4. If it was 4 in a hook, you're not going to push on the hook. So take advantage of those little half points. You don't know how good you have it until you lose on a hook. And then you go, I had no hook. So no hook. Take that while you can get it. I'm kind of fading the Adam Humphries 2 necessarily. I mean, he could get it. He could. I mean, it's an easy 2 get, and it could be 2 back-to-back plays. But he only had 2 targets in the first game, so I'm not thrilled to see what he can do necessarily. But that's just me. Anybody else there before we jump to fantasy points? Which, by the way, cool PrizePicks section. I love this. But
no, we can move on.
No, okay.
The rest of the guys are dumps.
Well, and those guys just aren't sure bets. So here's what we're looking for. Any of these bets could hit, and you could go out on a limb and just make a crazy bet and go, it could happen.
Yeah.
But I think what we're trying to do is this is your money. This is where you're trying to triple up, quad up, six max up. You're trying to make a lot of money. So we're trying to give you the best bets that we think are going to hit based on game script and kind of where the weaknesses are and kind of what we see happening. So with that being said, we've got some quarterback totals here: 17 for Daniel Jones, 16 for Taylor Heineke. You favoring one or over the other?
Probably Heineke. I think he could have more than 16 fantasy points, especially with the rushing upside. It's definitely a smash when it comes to low points like this. I definitely think he can have 2 touchdowns, one to Logan Thomas, one to Terry McLaurin. Why not? So that's easily putting him over to 16 fantasy points there.
Yeah. He also has that rushing touchdown upside. They get down by the goal line.
He does.
Boot. He can just, do the read option. So, no, I like that a lot too. On the other side of, their backfields, you have Saquon and Antonio Gibson, 12.5 for Saquon, which to me seems really touchdown dependent in the kind of the limited amount.
It really does. It does seem touchdown dependent. And I don't know. I can't touch Saquon for these first 3 weeks, to be honest. I'm just going to stay away completely and then wait until next month to start seeing Saquon get into Saquon routine.
I don't think that's a bad thing to do, because you're looking at the data and you're saying, I don't feel comfortable putting my money there.
It's your money. It's your money. Be smart with it.
My money, I think Antonio Gibson 16 fantasy points is a better hedge. If you're looking at those two backs, it's a higher total.
Just think about it. Like, when have we ever seen Saquon Barkley this low on fantasy points to even have this projection here? I think it's an obvious sign that he's going to have a slow start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you saw that in the first game. He had 2.6. Is that how many points he had? Something like that.
Yeah, it was very depressing to see.
Well, we're going to talk about, there's a bunch of running backs who underperformed. And when we get into kind of start sit, big names that you trusted, and quarterbacks too. But that being said, I like the 16 points in the Washington, not backfield, but wide receiving core. That's Terry McLaurin's number. So for me, I'm not going to sit here and LaQuan sit here and go smash, Terry McLaurin, and then think he's not going to get over 16. You could stack all of your McLaurin bets together. That's what's really great.
That's what's great about PrizePicks. Yeah.
Put them together and go, I think this one thing is going to happen. And if you're right, you don't have to pick every single part of the game or every single position right in that, kind of DFS mindset. Here, Terry McLaurin, that is your best bet. That's the best player on the field. And I'll take the Logan Thomas too. So, if you're going with LaQuan, you're going all Terry McLaurin, you're going with me, I'll do Terry McLaurin, and I'll also go Logan Thomas. So you kind of have two dual threats there, and 27 points combined. Man, I think they both hit over. I think that's just a low total right now for those two weapons on the team, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Logan Thomas, I could see him having a great game as well, being the number 2 target as well. So, hey, full send it. I'm right with you, Scott.
Is there anybody over there on the Giants side? I mean, Sterling Shepard and Galladay both have kind of low mid totals there, 12.5 and 12. Are those hanging fruits? Or are they, one of them's going to hit? You know that, right? I mean, one of them's going to
hit. It's just the fact of picking the right one. And I honestly don't like the matchup with his secondary. And I think Daniel Jones, with his turnover problems, I think he had his 28th start with his 40th turnover. And it's like, man, you got to secure the ball, man. You got to do better.
Well, I saw him fumble, and I tweeted out, I said, shockingly, Daniel Jones has fumbled the football.
Shockingly.
Right. It was like, and then of course the commentators jumped on the fact that this was like his, his first, his 58th straight game, 69th straight game with a turnover or something, one of the, since football, he's turned it over. So I'm out on Daniel Jones, kind of his receiving core. A little volatile for me, given that. So, all right. Well, that was great. Please go check out PrizePicks. We love them. The link is down in the description below. Make sure you smash that promo code MMN. Get your $100 deposit. When you make a deposit, you get that money back in your bets. You win it, you can cash out, or you can let it ride, which, that's me and LaQuan. Can we let it ride? We're gonna make that money. So let's jump into start sit right now. There was a lot of upheaval upheaval this week in the NFL. A lot of crazy things happen. Players that we expected to do well did not do well. So I got a couple players. You feel free to throw anybody in there. I'll start off with kind of somebody who we thought would smash in a plus matchup. Ryan Tannehill going up against what we thought was a weak Cardinals defense. I think Malcolm Butler retired before the game. I mean, it's not one of those tough matchups against the Steelers or against the Buffalo Bills. This seemed to be an easy matchup, and Ryan Tannehill and Julio Jones struggled. They were out of sync because Julio not being in
chemistry.
None. The balls were behind them or in between spots where the touchdown try, the apparent touchdown try, he didn't get it. It was jammed up in his arms. Like he couldn't get his arms extended. He didn't know where to put them to get the ball. It just looked weird. And so what do you think about Ryan Tannehill going into Seattle this week? He could redeem himself. He could jump back, or the struggles could kind of continue. How do you see that ship steering itself this week?
I think he can have a bounce back. I think it's the week one nerves is definitely a chemistry and timing thing between him and Julio. But hey, AJ Brown is still out there. He still has the chemistry with AJ Brown. So I think he would just shift his attention more to AJ Brown, because I think it was more so trying to please Julio, trying to get him the opportunity to make the big plays. But we saw that a lot, but rare situations where we see Julio drop. And I think he had like 2 drops that were, his hand, if the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. That's basically how I'm going to square it up. I mean, I feel like the touchdown opportunity, that's definitely something that's timing. Timing can be, built and be perfected through practice, through reps, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not too worried for season long, but I'm definitely still starting Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. Well, I love that you picked up on AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown is a stud. He had a touchdown in the game. That's a man's man right there. It's a woman's man. I mean, everyone loves that guy, made like a video and started singing and getting Julio Jones to come on his team. I mean, that's the man. I love AJ Brown. So I do think he can turn it around. Maybe somebody who cannot turn it around, who looks like he might be dead. Matt Ryan ranks 30th right now. Holy crap. Do you trust him at all? I mean, they're going to have to throw the Bucks. Well, I mean, are they going to lose like 40-0 and like get no? I mean, are we going to see Rosen in? Like, what's going to happen?
I don't know if we'll see Rosen. I think Matt Ryan, he's struggling right now because we're seeing the effects of no Julio. So we all know Calvin Ridley is still Ridley. He's going to see his targets, but Pitts was supposed to come in to replace Julio Jones, and we're kind of seeing Matt Ryan struggle with decision-making. That's not something we're used to seeing. I think it was more so Julio was his safety blanket. So he was able to throw the ball up and just know Julio's coming down with it. Ridley running the under or running whatever route he's running, okay, I'll take this shot. So I think more so he's taking shots, and his decision-making is a little delayed because he's not too sure. Now, we have a full preseason camp, OTAs, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm pretty sure it is to a point where they just need the game time reps of like a full speed game. So week one, I'm not too worried about Ridley. I'm not too worried about Pitts, but Matt Ryan does worry me on the end if I'm trying to put him in starting lineups. So I can't put him in starting lineups until I see some life.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that too. And what you said really, it might be the kind of the case. You're kind of dissecting Matt Ryan there, where he could throw it to Julio, knowing that guy had a great contested catch rate, that he would do what he needed to do to get the ball, or no one would catch the football, right? It would not be a turnover most of the time. And so for that, Kyle Pitts trust not there. Also, interesting fact from the game, they targeted receivers 10 times in the game. They targeted running backs 11 times. And listen, when you're throwing the ball on 3rd down, 3rd and goal twice to Mike Davis, you're doing it wrong. You have to throw timing routes in the end zone. You do not drop back and hope and pat the ball and look around and hope there's a touchdown waiting for you. You know where your guys are supposed to be. Put the freaking ball where they're going to be, Matt Ryan, and then their job is to go get it. You can't sit back there and pat the ball. That's it. I'm out on Matt Ryan. So I'm with you. Sorry. I didn't lose a lot of money on him necessarily. I'm tired of his failures limiting the upside of the skill position players for Atlanta, particularly Calvin Ridley. That guy needs to have the ball in his hands in space. He's one of the best receivers in the game. So get your stuff together, Matt Ryan. All right. Let's jump over any other quarterbacks, by the way, that you want to kind of, start or sit, anybody on the fringe there that we maybe haven't touched on yet.
Jared Goff, I mean, he didn't have a terrible game. I mean, he got a lot of garbage time. A lot of those fantasy points came in the fourth quarter when they were trying to make a comeback. But I've said in the offseason, he could be a top 20 quarterback. I mean, if we want stars in the moon for Hawk and Swift, we got to give some credit to Jared Goff to be able to execute the plays and et cetera, et cetera. So I definitely think we can see Jared Goff as a QB2, but if you don't have that efficient QB1, you can go ahead and throw Jared Goff and he'll put 20 to 25 points on the board for you.
Yeah, and most of them will come in the fourth quarter. So don't get upset at halftime. You got like 6. They're all coming later. So, all right, let's jump to some stud running backs. We talked about Saquon. He's on this list. Aaron Jones, Saquon, Zeke. These are the best of the best. And then we got rookie Najee Harris, who, a lot of people they made their first RB1. He's my RB1. He was the first pick in the second round for me at the 12 position. All of these players scored under 6 fantasy points and really disappointed and probably lost their team, maybe unless they overcame it with some, huge performance from Dak or Tom Brady or Jameis Winston. They really hurt their squads here. Saquon 3.7, Aaron Jones 4.2, Zeke 5.9, and Harris 5.9. Anybody you're sitting on this week? Are you starting all of them again, giving them another chance? Or for example, Saquon maybe broken, maybe not playing this week in your starting lineup. What do you say about that?
I can't see myself sitting any of these guys just because of the draft investment. It's kind of hard to sit Zeke, being that we saw it was more so of how the game just shaked out. He was doing very good in pass blocking. He had a great game, I think. But for the fantasy aspect of things, they weren't really running him the ball. I definitely think Zeke will have a bounce back when the time is right, when the game is going in that way. Now, I definitely think Tony Pollard being involved in the passing game as well is kind of hurting Zeke to an extent when it comes to PPR upside, but I think Zeke will be back to Zeke fairly soon. I just think it, like I said, week 1 jitters and everything's out of the way. But to touch on quickly on Aaron Jones, this question came to me, I think, a little bit earlier today by somebody, and Aaron Jones, I can't sit either because Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. I definitely think he just had a bad game relocated, traveling. We got to remember the game wasn't originally where it was at. It was in Jacksonville. So I definitely think, with the traveling restrictions and all that other stuff like that, them going through what they're going through behind the scenes with Aaron Rodgers and the organization, I think it'll be cleaned up this week.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that. I'm going to go Aaron Jones again. Najee Harris, good and bad here in his performance. One, he couldn't separate from anybody, whether it was coming out of the backfield or in his pass, catches. At one point, he had an open end zone, nobody between him and the end zone. He caught a little flare out of the backfield, and then he was caught immediately by the middle linebacker. And so I'm a little disappointed. Harris does not have that burst that I thought he was going to have. I'm going to keep starting him in my flex because I need to. He's my second round pick. But are you concerned about him? You think it'll take a few weeks for him to get started? People were talking Le'Veon Bell here. They were really whispering this. So how do you proceed?
I am going to be a little worried for the next coming weeks because that O-line, it just didn't look good. It really didn't look good. And we knew that coming into the season. So I'm going to be a little worried about having him in my starting lineups. I hope we can have some type of upside going into this next week. What I did like was his usage. I mean, the snap percentage was very impressive. He was on the field most of the time, which is great. We know nobody's back there behind him to take his job or take the touches. So we kind of just have to ride this train until we see otherwise, until we see a consistent low point scored, and then we got to bench him.
Yeah. All right. So let's pivot to, better times, points that are being scored. Elijah Mitchell, if you ever heard of him, I heard of him. I don't know. Maybe I have him on a best ball team. Maybe he hooked me up this weekend. I don't know. Possibly. But I'm just saying Elijah Mitchell, not Elijah Moore, by the way. If you're talking Elijah's this year, people talking about Elijah Moore. No, Elijah Mitchell. Is he a must start? Raheem Mostert under the knife. He's out for the season now. Is Elijah Mitchell going to go RB1 on us here now, or is Trey Sermon? I'm just saying. I've seen people say Trey Sermon starting next week. It's going to happen.
I feel like this is a situation where I'll miss out. I won't lose sleep if I miss out on Mitchell because, for the simple fact, we see Shanahan's a liar. So. What do we do week to week? We can't deal with these kind of things when we're looking at fantasy. So I don't know if he's a must start. I will start him this week, though. I'll start him this week. he could see 19 touches again. Sermon coming into the equation does throw, me a different way. It kind of sways me to like, can this be a consistent start? That's where the question goes. But I'll start him this week. He has a leg up on Sermon being with reps and basically, just being in game time full speed. So Mitchell this week, but the week after that, I don't know.
Yeah, don't blow your fab, kids. Keep the free agent auction budget down low this week. I'm just saying. On the other side, I want to talk Atlanta running backs. Mike Davis, we all kind of knew that.
Dumpster fire.
Cordero Patterson, though, I think he was averaging like 7.5 yards per carry.
It's ridiculous that he keeps doing this to teams. Like he keeps doing this to running backs. It's annoying to see. I wasn't on the Mike Davis train for the simple fact that Mike Davis, his opportunities with Joe Brady were because CMC was out. So he literally fell into a playbook, into a role, into the system where he was going to see that PPR upside. Now he's on a role where he needs to be the pure runner. Falcons want to use him like they used Todd Gurley in the red zone. That's where the upside comes with Mike Davis. But being that they're still having red zone troubles and they're doing weird stuff in the red zone, the Falcons have always been terrible when it came to red zone. So I definitely think, Mike Davis in this situation, I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, I didn't draft him either, but that Cordero Patterson looks interesting, and we'll see what comes of it. I think this week against the Bucks, Cordero Patterson, I think, would be the better play. If you're chasing a garbage time touchdown, I don't know if Mike Davis will be in there with his quads. He's got to rest those quads. Those things, they take up a little bit of
now.
Yeah. This is the thing, man. People don't know. People always say, Scott, why are you so lumpy and not like svelte and tight and like jacked? Well, because all that muscle mass takes up a lot of energy, and you got to keep giving yourself protein. So, I think Mike Davis can't hydrate and protein enough on the sidelines to get him in the game this week. He's not going to be a factor. If anybody, Patterson, I think is going to be the guy. But I'm fading both those guys because the Bucs defense is ridiculous.
Ridiculous, man.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Let's jump to wide receivers. We talked about it earlier. Julio Jones, not Julio Jones, right? Maybe the old Julio Jones with his hurt Julio Jones, kind of. Maybe shades of that, but not the Julio Jones that we know, where he catches the football in traffic and he's the guy for you. He still had 8 targets. He, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, he had the volume. I'm not too worried though, to be honest. I think they'll get it together very soon. We just need to be patient.
Do you start him this week in Seattle? Touchdown upside.
Yes, I'm starting them regardless. I just need people to understand Julio Jones is still Julio Jones. If he has the volume, he's going to get it together. The 2 drops that we saw last week, again, week 1, don't overreact.
It's kind of like the preseason too for them because they didn't get a preseason. Don't forget Tannehill was out on the COVID list for a while too. Didn't get the reps. So I think they'll get cleaned up. And I do think Julio is somebody that you're going to play. Let's talk about somebody you might not play. And this is where I'm at. I have him on my team. Tyler Boyd, are you playing him? He's obviously the third wheel now.
He's the third wheel. I'm not liking it. Jamar Chase led with targets. He has the volume, the connection, obviously prior with Burrow. So he's going to be his favorite target. So I think Jamar Chase is the real deal. And then Tyler Boyd kind of falls in the background. He'll probably have his weeks, but I'm not looking for week to week to have Tyler Boyd in my flex.
Yeah, no, I think he is mitigated to the bench for now. Somebody who, by the way, maybe he was on your bench. Maybe you started him last week. Russell Gage, 0.0 for you. This is a guy who had over 100 targets last year. Is this just the Matt Ryan, denigration effect here, or is he going to have something in his tank this year, or should we just get rid of Gage? What's going on with this situation?
I'm dropping Gage after this week if I see anything less than 10 points, to be honest, because way he came out last season, like the first 2 weeks, he had enough volume to where it was for us to run to the waiver wire to go get him. Excuse me. So it's like to have 0 points, it's like, whoa, what's going on? There's no Julio there. That second wide receiver 2 option is there for you. And it's like he's a good football player. So it was kind of weird to see that happen. I don't think they're forcing targets to Pitts. I think Pitts is just simply getting open. So in my philosophy, targets are earned, and he didn't earn any of those targets to put any points on the board. So Russell Gage is on a time clock right now.
Tick-tock for Russell Gage. Somebody else who might be on a time clock too, a wide receiver 1, apparently not. Marquez Callaway, kind of only had 2 targets, 1 of 2, which is fine. But Jameis Winston threw 5 touchdowns, none of them towards Marquez Callaway. Is he somebody that you can even keep on your team now, or is he going to come back? What do you think about that offense now that we've seen it in real time?
See, here's the thing. I wasn't a believer in preseason because for the simple fact it's preseason. And I believe that Winston wants to play it safe. He's not going to do those aggressive deep shots that we saw with Callaway. And that's the only reason why people got excited about Callaway is because of the deep shots. You know what I mean? There was nothing else that we had evidence or anything that we saw for him to be a great possession receiver, to be a guy that Winston can rely on. We just saw big plays and we're like, hey, Marquez Callaway, great. So it's like, I think he's on a ticking time bomb as well. He has until week 2, week 3 with me, if I have him on my roster. But he's starting to look like how we just spoke about Russell Gage, man. It's we need to see something before we start putting you in lineups.
No, I like it. All right, let's jump real quick down to tight end. We got 2 candidates here to talk about starts it. One of them is Kyle Pitts. We kind of touched on him before. 8 targets, only 4 receptions. Matt Ryan didn't look great. Do you play him this week against Tampa Bay? Good defense?
Tampa Bay, no. I'm sitting Pitts. I know he gets the volume. He could pop off. He could have a touchdown, but not the Bucs defense. No. I'm not even going to pull the trigger on that.
No, I like that. What about Robert Funyon? I'm trying to make sure I say his name right. 2.8 fantasy points or 2 point something, 2 point irrelevant versus Detroit. Is that just the whole Packers team sucks? So write it off and he's got another shot, or
he gets another shot. We knew going into the season he was touchdown dependent. So I think at least against Detroit he'll be able to put up points because Detroit is actually terrible. Absolutely terrible against tight end. So I definitely think Tanyan can have a big week and get some, fantasy managers happy.
Yeah, no, I like that bounce back. All right, let's go to a couple Twitter flex questions. I like these. These are pretty good ones. They'll make you think here. We've got Deebo Samuel, who, obviously is now the number 1 wide receiver on the 49ers, 9 receptions, 12 targets, or Deontay Johnson. Who are you leaning this week?
I'm going to go Deontay Johnson. I definitely like that he was able to come back in the game, put it on the touchdown on the board. Deebo Samuel, also another guy that I love. The volumes there as well. Kittle didn't really show up as well. He was another guy that didn't show up like big time. But I think Deebo, again, was earning those targets. You gotta hit him. If he's open, he's open. The thing is about Deebo, he's a great talent. We know he could ball out, but it's the health. It's the health. He can go out in the second quarter. He can go out in the first quarter. Not saying Deontay Johnson can't because he did. But he came back and he put a touchdown on the board and made us happy. So I definitely think I'm leaning towards Deontay, basically because I feel as though the volume is more there going into this next week's matchup.
Yeah. Well, and Kittle didn't have a big game, but he could. He could next week. They could kind of favor him next week. We'll see how that goes. Here's one. Sit Julio Jones for Corey Davis or Melvin Gordon. What do you think? Would you do that? Corey Davis had 2 touchdowns. He's definitely the number 1 wide receiver in New York.
Yeah, he's the number 1 wide receiver, and he's a guy that Zach Wilson looks for in the end zone. So Corey Davis is a smash for me, and all cylinders are going to be hitting. I definitely think Zach Wilson tries to target Elijah Moore, but he doesn't want to force it to Elijah Moore. He is safe with Corey Davis. I really feel like Corey Davis is a smash every single week.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I saw a few of the passes down to Elijah Moore, double coverage. It's not going to get it. And this is the thing about it. When he's on the field, he needs to be on the field lined up all over the place so he can be disguised like Tyreek Hill. Yeah, disguise him. Come on, man. When you put him out there, you know what he's going to do. Then you can double cover him.
Exactly. And I also, what I hit on in the offseason, I feel as though Elijah Moore is going to see the number 1 corners. So therefore, that lets Corey Davis get open on the under or whatever the case may be, any route that he's running against, not say he's a scrub corner, but a subpar corner that's probably not going to be able to cover Corey Davis. So that's what's probably going on.
No, I like that. And Corey Davis has that size and strength that he
he's an athlete.
Yeah, he's a big man. So grown-ass man, as Pete Overzet would say. Shout out Pete Overzet. All right, let's jump in. We're almost done. That was also brought to you by PrizePicks and go smash the Mayo Media Network. MN Yeah, Pat's gonna love that one. And make sure that you sign up. You get that $100 deposit match as soon as you do. All right, let's talk injury news right now. 3 main injuries, big time injuries. Jerry Jeudy. Oh my gosh, I thought it was just curtains for him. Thankfully, high ankle sprain. Not looking great for a couple of weeks. What do you think about the Jerry Jeudy injury? Tim Patrick smash pickup? Yes, no.
Yes, 100%. Tim Patrick led all Broncos wide receivers in the red zone. So it was no mistake, no accident that he was able to find the end zone in week 1. It's going to happen again. So Tim Patrick is definitely a smash if you just lost Jeudy for 4 to 6 weeks. I think Jeudy will come back. I think it'll be a slow start, of course, as any injury is, especially a high ankle. We probably won't see Judy's name until week 10. But again, I think Tim Patrick will be able to fill his shoes in for the first couple of weeks now.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Raheem Mostert out for the year now. Listen, he was out for the year as soon as he got hurt. That's just kind of how it goes.
That's nothing new. I was like, oh my God, pretend to be surprised. Like,
yeah, I mean, I thought I would get. I told my wife, I played him in DFS because of the matchup. I said he could have given me a half. I mean, he didn't even give me a whole game this year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like weird. It was like 11 plays or something like that.
My favorite part was when, Elijah Mitchell went in for the touchdown. They had the Elijah Mitchell graphic on Fox or wherever it was. I think it was Fox. And then they showed Raheem Mostert like sulking over on the sideline. He had like a poor look on his face. I was like,
I just lost my job.
Oh, man.
Fired guy.
Yeah, the Disney story is over. Sorry, it's over. And the story might be over here too for the not Disney. I mean, this isn't a Disney princess. This is more like Beauty and the Beast situation. Ryan Fitzpatrick out. He's got a hip issue. Tough break for the Washington football team, but I actually think it's a better break for them. I think Tyler Heineke gives them, Heineke gives them a little bit more oomph in the boomf. I know you'd say that, but Ryan Fitzpatrick's a gunslinger. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to turn the ball over more than Heineke will. So what do you think about Fitzpatrick? Is it kind of like a blessing in disguise for Washington or kind of
somewhat, because it shows that they secured Heineke for a reason. I definitely think if they didn't last season, then they'll be in trouble with Kyle Allen. So I think Heineke, he's a good replacement. Like you said, he's going to turn the ball over less.
Yeah. And sadly, Ryan Fitzpatrick won't be passing the ball to Curtis Samuel either because he's on the short-term IR. So both of the Washington football teams, high-priced free agents bringing in to change the offense, not even playing. So you're back to kind of last year and De'Ami Brown, who honestly, I think it's going to do well this year, hopefully give more touches. So, all right, that was great. LaQuan, I love it. This is always going to be, one of my favorite nights to do fantasy football. It seems like a quiet night, but it's not with you and I. No. We're burning it down, giving people what they want. So let me ask you, where can people find you? Where are you working right now? Where's your fire content coming from?
Well, obviously, you guys can find me here at the Mayo Media Network. Fire content only every single week. You see the face, you know the case. You can follow me at Real Deal Fantasy HQ on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, of course, and YouTube as well. And I'll be putting out flaming hot content every single day of the week. Not Sundays, though, because obviously we got Red Zone on, baby.
That's the Lord's Day. That's where you watch football all day.
There you go. That too. My bad.
I mean, the Lord wants you to watch football. That's what he wants. That's why he made it on Sunday and Monday.
That's why he woke me up that morning to watch Week 1 football.
Of course. Every day I just thank the Lord I'm alive for football. I know why I'm and you can honestly find me over at nibblewnumbers.com where you get the fire football content, DFS, GPP, cash game content. We're kicking it there all year long at NibbleWNumbers on Twitter. I've got the Fantasy Millionaires Monday at 10 or 9:30. Yesterday we had Denny Carter on, the man, the myth, the legend. Oh my gosh, it was great. Fantasy Football Hot Stove this Saturday at 8:30. Chalk blocked at 10, bringing you the DFS content. So I'm all over the place. And of course, I'm here at the Mayo Media Network, kicking it with Pat and Pete and Lauren and LQ and everybody else who are amazing. So do please subscribe and like and smash all those buttons that they tell you to smash down on YouTube. And please go sign up for PrizePicks right now. Link in the description, promo code MNMMN, and get your deposit match up to $100. Best of luck, everybody, this week. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.